make light called ultra-weak photonic emissions, an emerging field of research. Biophotons are particles of light emitted spontaneously by biological systems, weaker than light emitted by a firefly. Visible range, they fall within the ultraviolet and visible light spectrum. Biophotons facilitate non-chemical communication between cells and mitochondria. And this is a research study. Living beings emit a faint light that extinguishes upon death, according to a new study. And in Tibetan Buddhism, when enlightened masters die, they are said to emit a display of rainbow light. Could these be biophotons? Another quote I have, I think. Biophotons, coherent light fields were studied by Mei-Hwan Ho, liquid crystalline water, and it's speculated that this could be connected with the Chinese medicine meridians and the extracellular matrix. Could be coherent light fields. So it's definitely an emerging field, and they just are creating tools to study it. Ted?
Okay, departing from the scientific to a little more esoteric. So the ray of creation is a concept publicized. It's the concept of a hierarchical arrangement of the universe in the order of descending density of matter. So the higher the number, the more diffuse and rarefied, less dense. And then coming down on this scale is down to denser and denser involvement in the material level. So this was originally described in P.D. Ouspensky's famous book, In Search of the Miraculous, where he sets out the Gurdjieffian system. It's actually it looks dense if you look at it, but it's a great book. I highly recommend it. It has a wonderful story of P.D. Ouspensky's journeys through Russia, escaping from the Russian Revolution in 1917, and they went to Odessa, and then they had to walk across the Caucasus Mountains, and they ended up in Berlin and eventually Paris. It's quite an adventure, so I do recommend it. Gurdjieff is a whole other topic. I'd love to talk about it offline with everyone. So the ray of creation, that's the structure of it, and then I'll show you my little artistic version. All worlds, that's basically all galaxies, that is all the galaxies in the entire universe would be that level. Next level, all suns, which I would say is the Milky Way galaxy. The sun itself within, so our solar system. All planets, that would include the planets of the solar system, the Earth, and finally, the lowly moon. So so this is kind of the thing I find very exciting about this system is you can look at each one of these entities as a unique being, a living being in essence. And it's also a creator. Its role is to create within itself something new, something different, to explore all the possibilities within creation. And each one of these, like I like to think of the Milky Way. It's like a character, it's a person. It has its own unique qualities. It has its own unique destiny. Its form, its shape is completely its own, and there's nothing else like it. So I think that as a living being, but it's vastly enormous, we can't even quite conceive of that. So each entity within that next higher level, I think of as like a cell in our own bodies. So like the sun would be like one cell within the living being of the Milky Way. So the sun, for example, it has a whole life cycle. It goes through different phases. It becomes mature, it becomes a red giant. It's too small to become a nova, but it will eventually become a white dwarf. As it goes through these phases, it changes the wavelengths of light and the amount of light that it emits. And of course, that affects all of the planets within the solar system. So the sun's creative force animates us. We are citizens within its life and density. So in the same way that we're like a cell within the solar system's body, our own little bodies, we're like a sun to all our little cells in our body, right? So our cells, our molecules, our atoms, we're like the sun to them. So it's a big responsibility, so be kind to your little cells and molecules, because it affects their life too. And every one of them is unique. Every one of our cells has its own personality, its own history. So in the same way, we were talking about how the pituitary gland and the SCN controls all the hormones that coordinate all of the functions within our own body. In the same way, the sun may be sending us messages, and how is it sending us messages? Through the wavelengths of light it transmits, through all of the things that Joe was talking about at the beginning with the solar flares and all of that. You know, it's trying to tell us something. We're in a system with that. So we want to be attuned with that. So that's why people need to go outside and be in the sun, because, you know, we can measure wavelengths of light, but there may be quantum messages, there may be all of this other etheric, psychic stuff that we're not capable of measuring, but it's sending us messages. And if we're inside and we're exposing ourselves to these artificial wavelengths, we are so disconnecting ourselves from attunement to what the sun is trying to tell us. And I just wanted to say, there's a lot we don't know. There's so much we don't know. The nature and the evolution of the solar system, and we're just very, very early in our understanding. So we should be humble, go outside, receive sunlight. Gerger said, in that sense of that within yourself, you're the sun for all of your little components. He said, I'm a salesman of solar energy. Then I'll just briefly mention my other favorite esoteric person, Rupert Sheldrake. He's a lovely man. Is anyone here did anyone in this room go to the workshop Rupert Sheldrake did around 2003 out at Naropa? I was there. He's a lovely man, just a lovely person. So he invented the concept of morphic resonance, which you can look up. And the same way that we were just talking about the sun being a living being of its own, with its own personality, he did a paper and also a video, Is the Sun Conscious? So you can check that out. That's the paper in the Journal of Consciousness Studies. And this is a quote that Michael found that I think summarizes how we should be in relation to the sun as possibly a source of higher wisdom. The sunlight which is sent forth everywhere is the immaculate action of pure mind itself. And that's from Emperor Julian said that in 347 AD. Are you doing practical suggestions?
Keep going, what's the next? Oh, okay.
Sunglasses, your
I gotta
favorite.